Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this, to the New Jungle Podcast listeners. I'm Garrett, and I'm here with none other than one of the first guests I had on my podcast, the Bengalorian. How are you today?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you on again. It's really exciting. I remember the first time I had you on. I've got to be honest, I was a little starstruck, but when we've been interacting on Twitter and stuff like that, and you're a great guy, and I really appreciate it. Greatest Bengals bounty hunter in the galaxy, and
Yeah.
that it's great to have you on again. And I wanna talk about something that I've talked about a little bit in the past, but I haven't necessarily dived too deep into it because I feel like I've been needing to save this for a special episode and be able to dive into it with somebody who really understands the concepts and who really looks at it from a fan perspective like I do. And I want to talk about how important it is for the Bengals organization to start winning this year, this 2021-2022 season, and how important it is to get to those numbers that people are predicting. And even me, who I'm wanting us to go 9-8, 10-7, places like that, and we can sneak into a wild card. And I wanna discuss how important it is for us to do that, not necessarily even on a surface level of we need to start winning, but in a more in-depth perspective of what it means for the front office and what it means for our stadium lease and what it means for a whole bunch of stuff like that. So um uh if if you want to start off saying how important you think it is for us to start winning, and what you think the thing that is what is riding on this season the most outside of maybe some jobs, what you think is you can even include jobs like Zach Taylor's job is on the line, or Lou Anarumo's job is on the line for ticky-tacky defensive play calling, just because it's been so inconsistent. You can see flashes, but you can also see how sometimes he can just get out coached like an SOB. I mean, you watch the Indianapolis game. So I want to get your perspective on what you think is riding on this season the most.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on this season. We were looking at each other right now. We got new jerseys on.
Oh yeah.
There's all kinds of new fan engagement. They're like really pushing for us as fans to like come to the stadium and be a part of game day. And there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff, new events, and all kinds of new stuff in the stadium. And I'm all for all that. Like I love that, you know what I mean? But there is a portion of the fan base that's like, that's all great, but when are we gonna win? And I empathize with them. I'm a homer, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna be there in my costume having a great time just because I love the Bengals organization. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when my kid goes to school and I get a bad report on him and he comes home, I don't cuss at him and yell at him, and you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
The Bengals to me is like a family, like it's like a family organization to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for a lot of people, winning is everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put your cards on the table and say, "Hey, look at us, we love you, fans, we care about you," there's a portion of the fan base that's going to say that's great, but please get some W's, you know. And I want to win. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
No one likes
absolutely.
to cheer for a team that loses consistently, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it just they do need to start winning. And you mentioned things like jobs on the line. I don't like to talk about another man's job, but like
Absolutely.
we live in the real world. I mean, and all you got to do is look at national media outlets, and they'll tell you all about Zach Taylor's job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's there are I know a lot of people who I work around. I work around a lot of people. I work at a club, and they talk a lot about how yeah, we love the direction the Bengals are going, but we wanna win now, and I've gotta say one
Mhm.
of them's my dad. I completely understand his take, he's talked to me about it, he's like, being a Bengals fan for as long as I've been, he was alive for both Super Bowl runs, and he was alive for the '90s. So, you gotta think what he's seen is very different than what maybe people like me or younger who are still like who are a little bit more not I don't want to say naive, but a little bit less experienced on what the NFL means to somebody like that.
Mhm.
As being alive for both of those Super Bowl runs and being able to understand it, and also being able to understand what it was like in the '90s when we couldn't win a game for jack squat. But it's important, at least for, like you said, a part of the fan base, and I'm right there with you. I'm a little bit of a homer, win, lose, or draw. I'm
Mhm.
gonna put on my jersey every Sunday. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm gonna go to a game if I have an opportunity, whether or not we're gonna win or lose. I don't care. I've been to many winning games. I've been to many losing games, and I've watched
Yep.
plenty on both sides. However, when, like you said, you're talking about the entire fan base, you want to try to encapsulate everybody, and part of that is for you and I, you we want the culture, we want what it feels like to be in the stadium and
Yep.
being able to be with the fans. And I don't want to speak for you, but that's what I want. um and that's I enjoy the atmosphere, I enjoy the organization, I enjoy what it means to be a Bengals fan. And a lot of other Bengals fans, they're just like, just put a W in the calendar. Like, I wanna be able to see you guys win, and that's completely awesome. I love that. Great. I wanna win too, and I feel like it's a hard line to toe right now in the organization of, "Oh my god, we have a lot of pressure building," and I feel like for as much as I am a homer and for as much as I wanna say, "Oh, I really think the Bengals can do this, that, and the other," the question is, can we put it together and actually get it to those standards that we've set for
Mhm.
ourselves?
Yeah, I
And
mean, everything you're saying is valid. I mean, and everything I've said is valid. We're all, like you said, this fan base isn't just homers. You know what I mean? It's
mhm,
there's people there that are done. You know what I mean? And I hate to see that, but like, well, you and I'll never chastise someone who says I'm done until they win. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, we'll see you. We'll see you back when they
yeah,
start to win because we love you no matter what. You know what I
yep,
mean? Like, and it is what it is, right? We're not right now. We are not the Patriots of yesteryear or the Chiefs of now. You know, we're the Bengals. We're on the rise.
mhm.
Our fan engagement stuff is going to skyrocket, and hopefully these wins can occur with it.
Oh, yeah, and think about how much more fan engagement we've had even on social media. The social
Absolutely,
media team for the Bengals is incredible. Like,
yeah,
even on TikTok, and half the
huge,
people don't even know that the Bengals are on TikTok, and they're getting
yeah,
50,000 likes and close and over hundreds of thousands of views every time they post.
huge.
And it's like the fan engagement in that perspective has been great, and it's been so, I feel like, eye-opening to at least me, because honestly, sometimes just being around people who I know and being around people who I've been around for so long and how they feel about the Bengals, my family, I'd categorize them, not necessarily just my dad, because my dad is a little bit of a homer as well. I kind of drag him into that a little bit. I kind of grab him on my leash and I'm like, okay, let's go over here. I think you're not seeing the
Yeah,
perspective that I'm seeing. But there are a lot of people in my family and my family friends, and even my friends from school and places like that, where they're like, wins, 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 wins. And then I'm like, do you see the culture that's growing? Do you see like people like you and Sean Moore and Bengal Jim and Zim and Bengals captain? I mean, everybody who's going and making people want to be a Bengals fan and are like, hey, I am not going to chastise you no matter what your perspective is. I just want you to be a Bengals fan, and I'm glad you're a Bengals
Yeah,
fan because
absolutely.
if anything, we need that at this point. Because think of how little attendance there was when we didn't have COVID at the end of
Hmm.
2019. I went to the Jets game where it was our first win of the season, I think, and it was brutal to sit
Hmm.
there and be like, wow, this is what it looks like. This is what it's like to be in Paul Brown Stadium, where 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was in a stadium, it was full. And we were winning like this with the stadium full. I could barely hear myself think. And
Yep.
then when I was in the stadium against the Jets, it was like I could hear a pin drop from across the field and there was nothing. And I feel like we need the I don't care what type of Bengals fan you are, you're a Bengals fan and you're coming with me kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Like
Oh yeah.
follow me. And I feel like you really have been a leader in that. And I want you to kind of explain what it means to have that sort of influence because it's not your job to do it, but you have the influence of where you're like, hey, you can see me. I'm wearing a Mandalorian helmet right now, and it's got Bengal stripes on it. Just follow
Yeah.
me, see where it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. It really kind of hit home with me. I think it was like a week ago, actually, that I have built a little bit of this influential air around me, and that was never the goal. I just wanted to be like the fun guy in the stands, and it's evolved. But I was scrolling through my feed, and every once in a while, I like to go back and forth with Steeler fans, and I got into roped into some thread, and one of the Steeler fans said, "Oh no, you made the fan base mad. Now the Bengalorean showed up." And I was like, "Oh crap! Is that am I known now? Is that like is that it? Is that my moment?" But I don't. Yeah, I just put this together because like I saw Captain, and I saw like Sean Moore and
Yeah,
Jim has always done great things in the Bengals community, and then Tony the Tiger. Like I was just like, man, I want to do that. That looks like fun. Um, we got our guy, we got our quarterback and Joe. Like the time is now to like just like jump up and like shout that I'm gonna wear this costume and declare my ridiculous fanship in this method. And I mean, as far as the influence goes, like we keep talking about the fan base that everybody's different and everybody has these different opinions. Like I come from a military background and being a leader in the military, every soldier I have is completely different, but I love them all the same because at the end of the day, we all have the same mission to go take care of business. You know what I mean? And then
absolutely.
at the end of the day, every fan here has the same goal: cheer for a winning team and have a good
Mhm.
time when you're at games. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's kind of where it all comes from.
yeah, absolutely. And you like to I'm not gonna say that you are doing it on purpose, but I feel like you kind of have a blind eye to how much influence you actually have
Okay.
because because even people who aren't like huge in the Bengals community necessarily, I've talked to people who don't know a lot about the Bengals Twitter sphere or like the media sphere that's been building, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, the guy that dresses up as the Mandalorian. Yeah, I know."
Oh, see, I didn't know that. See, I thought it was just like Twitter me. You know, I didn't know
No.
that.
No,
That's cool.
and it's not you being like, "Oh, I am blind to this." It's just like genuinely, I don't think it's it's a lot bigger than what all of us think, I feel, because you you I I'm gonna be completely honest, this era in Bengals history is gonna go down as one of the most influential times in the franchise's history. I
Oh,
can I can be I'm going to be a little bit of a futurist here and talk about what I think is going to happen with this era of Bengals football right now and the fan base. Because think about you, Orange Arrow, you're trying to get, you have 3 Mandalorian costumes. You're wearing the white one
Yeah.
right now, which looks badass. That other one is so cool too. Like all of them look so badass. And it's like you have so many people. You're trying to recruit more people. Like you're trying to recruit a
Yep.
Bengals Black Panther, which is going to be
Yeah.
sick, by the way. I saw your
Oh yeah.
drawings on Twitter. That's going to be sick. And I feel like you look at when the Bengals were making their Super Bowl run in the 80s and you saw the people painting their faces with tiger stripes. I feel like this era is that times 20 because of the different technology we have, and it is
Yeah.
going to be awesome. Because
We
when
just
we
we
have
just happen to have 3D printers.
it's yeah, I mean, when you see people who like in the old I remember watching like Freezer Bowl highlights where they would show the fans and there's a whole bunch of people like dressed up in tiger gear and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it's like this is that, but in one section. Imagine like 5 of those people sprinkled in every section of the stadium. And you've got people like you and Bengals captain and Sean Moore and Orangero and everybody like that. We've got more and more coming. And I feel like if we do, which I really hope we do, cross fingers, if we do manage to get into a place where we're possibly making a playoff run or possibly making a Super Bowl run next year or the year after, I feel like this is going to be a very pivotal point in the franchise purely from fan engagement and from
Oh
people
yeah.
like you. And I every time I get talking about like you and Bengals captain and everybody and Zim, and I'm like, oh my God, the Bengals are going to be 17-0, no problem. And then
Yeah.
I need to stop myself. But it's this is really pivotal and you are a front runner. And I feel like from a fan base perspective, at least from me and other people that I know, they know you. And obviously they know Bengals captain because I mean he was the inspiration for you.
Yep.
And I mean it is really, really, really important to have you guys there and be able because everybody needs a homer. Everybody needs that guy who's going to be like, nope, we're winning. Doesn't matter
Oh
if we're
yeah.
playing the Steelers on Monday night or if we're playing Green Bay on a Sunday afternoon or if we're playing Kansas City as our second to the last game of the season, we have a chance of winning. We need those people. And I feel like it is really important, at least for our fan base, to have people like that. And that's why your role is a lot more widespread than it may seem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I call myself the like
Oh, well, right now we're having technical difficulties. Um, but for right now, I want to continue and say it is really a pivotal point in the Bengals era for what it. Oh, here we go. Um, sorry about that. Technical
no,
difficulty.
that's okay.
You're all good. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Everything's good. We're back, everybody. Just letting you know. So,
A little
um,
technical difficulty,
yeah,
but
just a little bit.
like I was saying, like I call myself the voice of unreason, right? Because there's like the voice of reason where there's all the people who we are talking about uh saying, hey, yeah, they need wins, but I call myself the voice of unreason, because I'm
Mhm.
unreasonably optimistic. So you got to stay that way. But yeah, I like what you're saying about the fan base, and honestly, most of us are pretty humble guys. We just are dudes in costumes. But my goal is to absolutely just become the black hole that the Raiders are with all those costumes. Like I'm building. Well, I'm about to start building. I got my files together and everything, but I'm building a Black Panther, a Killmonger, which is the Black Panther kind of
That's gonna be
villain.
really cool.
I'm working on a Kylo Ren, and I'm working on a Batman for somebody too. And then there's going to be a Loki at some point. I'm talking to somebody, but like just all these characters. I want to build and put them in the stands, but make them orange and black. You know what I mean? Put
Yeah.
stripes on them. You know.
Yeah.
So I just like so like when ESPN or where Good Morning Football pans into our fan section, they're like, "What the heck is going on in Cincinnati? Look at all these crazy people!" Like that's
Yeah.
what I want. You know what I mean? Like that's the goal. Not just for me, not just for Captain, not just for Jim or Who Day Baby to have recognition, but like just and every time I tweet it out, it's grow the fan base. You know what I mean? Make it more crazy because
Mhm.
like every little interaction you do, you know what I mean? Whether you have 10 followers or if you have 10,000 followers, there is a section for the Bengals that sees it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you hear Elizabeth Blackburn like say like it hurts when I see negative stuff. Yeah, I want to win too. You think I want to like not do you think I want to lose? And
Yeah.
like, absolutely
Yeah.
not. This team is like her lifeblood. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like she sees everything that goes on in the social world. I don't know if she has a burner account or something or if like she just sees it through the eyes of the Bengals social. I don't know how it works. I won't pretend to know the intricacies, but like it just is like step one towards showing even the players who see us that we care.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because like imagine going to work wherever you work, showing up and then just like your boss doesn't care about you, or and the people around you don't care about you,
Mhm.
and everyone around you is telling you you're a bad worker. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to go out there and like put up or shut up for your city or your job?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not saying these players don't have heart and they would be affected by something like that because these are grown men who crack each other like daily for their job. So they have
Yeah.
heart, they have grit, they have determination. But like, imagine a team that has that heart, that determination, that grit, and also thousands of people that would reach down and pick them up with their bare hand, slap them on the butt, and say, "Go get them next play."
Mhm. Yeah. And it's that's really where I feel like this team is going because you've heard multiple accounts from players inside the locker room being like, everybody is everybody's friend. There's no animosity or
Yeah,
no, like everybody's bought into whatever they're selling in that locker room. And honestly, if everybody's bought in, I think I'm about to buy in. And not saying that I necessarily like, not saying that I am somebody who's skeptical because I really don't want to be skeptical. I am that homer. I trust me, if you
yeah,
listen to anything past and previous, I am a homer through and through. And it's um what I want to do is I want to buy in when I know that it's true. And I feel
yeah,
like once training camp hits, that's when I'm going to be able to be like, okay, this is how the team looks.
yeah.
The direction we're going. I'm really liking this.
Yep.
And
Very fair.
yeah, and we've been talking about the fan base a lot. I want to talk about what it means for people like the city, what it means for, and I guess that still is the fan base ish, but what it means for the city to start winning today. And
Hmm.
we have a stadium lease coming up, not necessarily in the next year or two, but it's coming up and it's coming up fast. And I want to know how much you think it matters for us to start winning today, for us to be able to go and make sure that we can keep our team here because I want nothing more than to keep the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. And while the logical side in me says there's no way that this city is going to let the team leave because there's too much history here, it makes a lot of money, it brings a lot of attraction. And even with the guy who said Cincinnati was the worst NFL city, that's
Oh,
bullshit. If you've ever been to Cincinnati, I'm saying this right now, he can have an I am inviting him on right now if you want to come on the New Jungle podcast and talk about Cincinnati and its tailgating experience and what it is as an NFL city, I will
Mm-hmm.
gladly talk to you for hours about what it's like to be a fan in Cincinnati. However, my logical side is, so come on, Ben Vogel, if you want to, but I doubt he's even listening to this anyway. So, um, I my logical side is telling me I don't really think there's a plan of them leaving, because think about the 90s and then Riverfront, and then we got a new stadium. Even if we're not in a spot where we're making a Super Bowl run, or we're not dominating the league like the Patriots of old or Kansas City right now, or even Tampa Bay, uh, if we're in a good spot and we can start this year and we can show flashes of really good, I think that solidifies the Bengals in Cincinnati more than what my logical side of my brain is saying. And I want to know what your opinion is on what it means for this city to start winning today.
For the city, it means everything to start winning and building a winning like air around the name Cincinnati. Period. Look at the Reds right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's excited about the Reds. You know what I mean? The Reds are killing it. We got two freaking all stars and Wink and Cassianos. We got Votto still there, cracking stuff. The Bearcats, they've been doing well as of late. Last year, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Desmond Ritter's coming back at quarterback. So
Yeah.
when you've got teams that win, your city name becomes synonymous with success. You know what I mean? I mean, when you hear the word New England and you watch football, what do you think of? The Patriots, right? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When you hear Kansas City, what do you think of? The Chiefs or the Royals when they were good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's it is crucial that we start winning, but I also at the same time I don't know if people realize how far the roots of the Bengals organization dig into this city of Cincinnati and how wide they've spread out. Like
Yeah.
around that stadium, like you throw a rock at a building, that organization either has money or time invested in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That family either has money or time, the Brown family has money or time invested in that area. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so them leaving because of the stadium lease, it's not even a thought in my mind. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't foresee that at all. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
don't have a crystal ball, but like the influence and an amount of capital and time that was put into the city of Cincinnati because of the Bengals, you know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
call it orange and black money or stripe money. Like it
Yeah.
is everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they were to pick up and leave, like it would be insane. Like it would be nuts. Like it's unfathomable to me that it
Yeah.
could even occur. So I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't see it happening. Like
Yeah.
flat out, you know, like
I
like I get it happened in St. Louis, but like
Mhm.
that was a completely different story. You know, like
Yeah.
you're moving to LA like that. It's like the Rams are there that like, but the amount of capital and time that's invested in the city of Cincinnati by that organization, I think I said it like 5 times. We'll count later. Is unbelievable.
Yeah, and the Rams were originally in LA as well, right?
Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
yeah, so it's not like they were started in St. Louis, and so that's why I
yeah,
think that situation is different. And don't get me wrong, I'm with you. I just still think it's a question that's
yeah.
needed to be asked,
Very
because
fair. Yeah,
who knows? Because like you said, stripe money, and that's why I'm saying the logical side of my brain is like there's no possible way that this team leaves the city
hmm,
because of how much influence it has on the economy, the culture of the city. I mean, think of how dead Cincinnati's going to be if we don't have a football team in the winter.
yeah,
I mean, we have the Bearcats, but not everybody necessarily is a Bearcats fan. Most
yeah,
people
oh, yeah,
are, but not necessarily everybody is. And I'd say most people in Cincinnati are Bengals fans, like a
yeah.
very, very large majority. and you've got a couple Steelers fans in there because it's a fad to be a Steelers fan in
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
it's
But I
cool.
mean, yeah, it's cool to be a contrarian, but
Yeah, yeah.
um I
Root for the devil.
oh yeah. Yeah. I when you were talking about getting in a fight with a Steelers fan on Twitter, I got in a little bit of a spat. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
It was it was the PFF where it was like which trio, like
Oh,
which wide
yeah.
receiver trio is better, and I tweeted, I knew I was gonna get in trouble, and I was like, you know what, I got nothing to do today, I might as well,
Yeah.
and I
Go for it.
tweeted, I want somebody to actually try to convince me how this Steelers trio is better at all or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And boy, did I get destroyed in the comments. They were like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like, first off, both of our receivers who you're saying have less yards, they had two backup quarterbacks throwing to them for 6 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
On pace to be 1,000+ yard receivers, but blah, blah. I'm not getting into that fight. I've already had it. It's over with. But yeah, it's Steelers fans in Cincinnati. Don't even get me started. Anyway, yeah, winning is everything in this city right now, and it's like you said, it's something that, like I've said, it needs to happen, and I want to know, like me in my head, I'm like, what needs to click? Because it's one thing. I can feel it. It's one thing that just needs to click either in training camp or in the preseason or maybe in the stadium, not necessarily front office, maybe fans, maybe front office. I can feel it. It's like right here, and we're reaching in the dark and we've almost got it. And I don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
we're at that point where it's like winning is so close. We have like, sometimes I sit here and look at this Bengals roster, and we've got Randy Moss's son as our third string tight end.
Yeah.
Like, what do we need to do? And not necessarily saying like that's like the end all be all of what it means for this team, but like I look through and there are so many guys where I'm like, wow, how do we manage to have those people on the team at the same time, but we're still 1 point away? And I feel like it's got to be one thing, and I'm trying to still figure it out. And I want to see if you have any ideas of what that one thing is from your
Man, I
perspective.
it's tough to narrow it down to one thing because like last year was a year of many things, right? Like to
Mhm.
me, like if Joe Burrow doesn't go down, how many more games do we win? If
Yeah,
AJ Green is like a shell of what he used to be, how many more games do we win?
yeah,
if our I don't know, our O line. I mean, look at our O line. If it was coached up better, maybe if they had Pollock last year, how many games do we win? You know what I mean? Like it's just if Joe Mixon doesn't go out, how many games do we win? Like that's in my mind, it's just a myriad of things. Like
hmm,
because I think the one thing that like you talk about, like the one thing is what we have is we have leadership, buy-in, and the desire for success from our
hmm.
players. Like, look at guys like Quentin Spain. That guy wants nothing more than to bring us a Super Bowl trophy to Cincinnati.
Oh yeah,
And maybe it's not just Cincinnati, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. Like that guy is amazing. I love that guy, but like maybe he just wants the trophy to
yeah,
vindicate himself, right? Like look at his tag is Mr. Undrafted. Like talk about a
yeah.
chip on your shoulder, right?
Oh yeah.
Like so we have guys here like that regardless of their drive, they want to win. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm,
so it's like to me it have that one thing. We just need to piece together those intangibles, those other smaller I guess issues, right? I mean injuries, bad coaching from last year, that kind of stuff, and put it all together do it. And I think that this year we'll do it. I really, honest to God, think we will. We've got Pollock, we've got Carmen, we've got a few other offensive linemen and Riley Reef and other guys that are going to get coached up. Joe Burrow's knee is going to be great. It's going to be healed, man. I can tell you, I went through the surgery he went through, and I was eventually running and playing high level sports
Mhm.
while serving in the United States Army. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got Joe Mixon coming back. We've got AJ Green has moved on. I hope he does well in Arizona, but we've got a guy replacing AJ Green who played with Joe Burrow in college
Yeah.
and is potentially the next like just superstar at wide
Yeah.
receiver in Chase. Like we have it. We have everything. Like we just need to execute. You know what I mean? And I really think that this is the year where we shift that gear into drive and put our damn foot on the pedal. I just see it happening.
Yeah. And I talked to Zim 2 episodes ago from now, and I asked him for his hot take, and he said the Bengals are 2022 Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, my homer in me is saying I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
And every time I ask myself, what's that one thing? What's that one thing? You have to think about it from last year's perspective. What was the one thing? And like you said, the more and more you think about it and the more and more you look at the whole scope of the team and the organization, you think
Mm-hmm.
of all the little things that happened. I mean,
Yeah.
injuries, some bad coaching, like you said. It was pretty it was pretty upsetting. I mean, other things like that. It was frustrating last year. It
Yeah.
was something where it was very, very, very. It felt close. It felt close, but not quite.
Yeah.
And um, I feel like that one thing has got to be. I feel like last year our locker room was broken. For as much as at the end of the season it felt together, but I feel like during the critical points in the season, like early when we had a good chance of winning those first couple games where it was close. I mean, goddamn, you think about the Chargers game.
Yeah. Oh,
That was tough. You
yeah.
think about other you think about other things like that, and we're at that place, we're knocking on the door, and that's why I'm saying we're reaching in the dark. And I feel like once that door opens, and I feel like it's week 1 against Minnesota at home, I feel like that's
Yeah.
really big, is playing at home for the first game of the 2021 season.
I
If we're
think that first game, if we win, we are not knocking at the door anymore. We're kicking it down and showing the league that we're for freaking real.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've said this before, I think the first game sets the tone of the season, and the second game is almost more important.
Yeah.
Because think of what happens. I know Matt Nagy has said, "Oh, Andy's quarterback 1," but who
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen in training camp? I mean, you know what Andy Dalton is. Who knows what Justin Fields can do in training camp? And we have a bad track record against rookie quarterbacks, and it's not really fun to think about. But I mean, that second game is something where it's the first game sets the tone. The second game is, to me, arguably more important because it's everything that continuing the momentum
Yep.
of being able to, okay, you can win 1 game. Now, can you win 2? And
Yep.
then going into the next week, can you win 3? And then going through those first 6 weeks, going into week 7, can you be 4-2 with that? Granted, pretty easy first part of the schedule, and then the second half is going to kick our ass. So if you can capitalize in the first 6 games going into that first Ravens game, can we be 4-2, 5-1? Can we be able to capitalize on what the NFL has given us? And we need to build that momentum.
Yep.
And I feel like once that happens, And if we can manage to win that first game, we have a lot of momentum just starting to snowball because it's all there. You feel it in the fan base, you feel it in the building. Even if you have, like, you've been in the building, I'm sure you felt it when you went to go see the new stripes, and when you went to go see your tickets for this year, you had to feel it.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure. 100%.
yeah, and it's in the team. You can feel it in the team. I mean, when you watch clips from, I love watching Jamar mic'd up from that mini camp, mandatory mini
Yeah.
camp earlier.
The
Like you
new
could
guy.
feel it in the yeah, you can feel it in the team. Like they want to play with each other. They want to win. Nobody's doing it. I feel like money right now for them is a secondary thing. And I feel like that's, for as much as I want to extend Jesse Bates and be able to keep him in our grasp for forever longer, because I just need him here. Not
Yeah.
even for anybody else. It's for me. He needs to sign that deal for me, or else I'm going to be a mess. But like it, being able to keep him here and being able to keep those key pieces. And it's Joe Mixon's year where he needs to go in and show
Yep.
everybody that he's the running back that we paid. And he's the guy who's going to be able to go back to being possibly an AFC leader in rushing. And it's time for Joe Burrow to come back. He's going to come back. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah,
It's time for Jamar to show that he's what everybody's been talking about. And that's why I feel like in this year, it's arguably one of the most important seasons in the last 5.5 decades that we've been a team, and you can
I
really
agree.
feel it.
I totally agree. Yeah, this year is different. You know what I mean? And it's tough to put into words, but like we're at a focal point. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, and like you talk about, I feel like it's part of the every time I listen to your podcast all the time. Shout out
Nice.
to the Your Stripes podcast. Go listen to it if you haven't
Yeah.
already. Anyway, every time you talk about what new stripes mean to all of your guests that you have on. And I feel like that's what the culmination of this year is going to be. What does new stripes mean to the city of Cincinnati? And how are we going to show up and show out every single week? And what's going to happen? You're going to think about how many Steelers fans show up for a Bengals game when we're at home.
Hmm.
It's arguably 50-50. Purely because they want to fill our stadium. Now,
Yeah.
the question is, are we going to put that same effort and energy and time this year? Are we going to make it our year? Because I feel like the ball is in our court.
Oh yeah. Totally agree.
And
You've taken the words right out of my mouth.
I, that I'm very proud of myself for that. That makes me feel good.
I
I,
totally agree.
I've spoken what the wise Bengalorean was thinking.
Wise. Yeah. Something like that.
But
Uh,
it this year is something that I feel like we all need to buy in. And if you're listening right now and haven't bought in, you look out for June 27th and on. You're gonna really enjoy what you're looking for. And
oh
I
yeah.
mean, what I'm expecting, I can't be there for the July 31st Saturday stadium practice. I used to go to that every year. I can't go this year. So I'm gonna need you to cheer extra loud for me if you're
True
there.
day.
Um, that's gonna be something that I feel like is really gonna set the tone for this year. And
Hell yeah.
if we can get a really big, it honestly, if we can get big attendance for every game, not even training camp, if we can get big attendance for every game, and if you think about how many season ticket holders we have now, I mean, I don't see any problem with getting fans in the seats.
I agree. I totally agree. The atmosphere is going to be different this year, everybody.
Yeah.
I speak to the whole fan base. It is going to be a different Sunday afternoon for you.
Yes, it will. And I'm gonna quote that. I'm posting it when we post this podcast. That's gonna be
There you
my
go.
caption. I'm taking it from you. But
Good. I'm glad I was able to provide it.
yeah, I mean, it was great to have you on again, Bango. I mean,
Yeah.
we got matching jerseys on right now, so it's something where you're always a great guest and you're a great guy to go follow on Twitter. Shout yourself out if you already haven't.
You guys know where to find me. I'm on Twitter at the Bengaloриan, and I'm on Instagram. I'm trying. I don't get it. Twitter's easy. I can type. Instagram, you have to pose and be all pretty. So I'm trying to figure that out.
Yes, go and follow him and go and listen to the Your Stripes podcast. Go and listen to every episode. They're all good. The Bengalitarianism episode was so good.
Good. I'm
That
glad.
is
Yeah, he's a great guy.
yes, that is I feel like that's the next um that's what this year is feeling like. Bengalitarianism. That is
Yep,
the
I
tone for
agree.
this year. And um shout out to you guys over there and everybody who doesn't, which if you don't, you're missing out. Go follow the Bengalorian. He's a great guy to interact with on Twitter. He's just a great guy to know. Um, go and follow him. And thank you so much. Can I get a hooday for all those new jungle fans?
Hooray, baby, hooray!
Let's go. Hooday. All right,
All right,
Bangalorian. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
you too, man.
Thank you again, guys, so much. I appreciate you listening. And go ahead, follow the Bangalorian. I hope that you fans go and everybody, appreciate every Bengals fan for who they are. Go out and make this year different. Show why it is important to win this year. Show what this year means to us as a fan base and us as Cincinnatians, and go out there, spread the Who Dey love, and thank you so much.